Hey y'all, my name is Amir Hussein, and you already know what I'm gonna talk about by the title. So stay tuned and enjoy. Nearly 7 years ago, Naughty Dog released their most ambitious game at that time, and it wasn't, of course, another Uncharted game because they already had, three, four of them. But instead, they chose to go a different path and explore their own methods of storytelling and narration. And holy fuck, how well they have done it. Now, I don't really want to talk about that game. Nearly everyone knows how great that game is. And by far we know that the fellows at Naughty Dog should be mastered at storytelling and gameplay mechanics by now. So we jump right into the controversial part 2. The second game starts right from where we left off from the last game. And we see Joel explaining to Tommy that what he'd done in the end of the last game, and as soon as he's done talking, you get to play as Joel for the last time. Further, as you progress a little, you'll see a familiar place in the distance. Yes, it is Jackson. Joel's Elysium. Now, why would I say that? Elysium is a legendary Greek paradise-like place for those who live the righteous life. And we can kind of say that Joel didn't really live the righteous life. Thus, we can say he had a false victory, and his imagination of a safe and paradise-like place that he think he achieved through his false victory is all built upon a lie. Also, I should mention that the golden grass fields around Jackson is a direct representation of Elysium 2. The beginning track that accompanies you through this scene is also so calming, and it really sets the tone very well, and it is called Unbroken, which I will explain later through the game, and I believe is the game character's will to not accept so that they can't be broken. As we reach the gates of Jackson, Tommy say this line that
I can't say I'd have done different. I'll take it to the grave if I have to. I'll see you later.
it shows the characters' support for each other despite what they've done and what decision they've made. After the scene ends, we see Ellie in her room, and we get the sense that she's finding her place among the people of Jackson. And then we see Joel entering the room and surprises her with a song that clearly demonstrates their father and daughter-like relationship and how much Joel is attached to her now. The guitar is a representation of Joel's fatherhood in Ellie's life, and I'll explain more as we get through the video. Now we're jumping 4 years ahead, something like 20 years later in part 1, if you remember. And Ellie must be something around 19 now. She gets up as someone is knocking the door. Okay, I'm not gonna explain every cutscene for you guys because if you're still here, you probably played the game for yourself. And I'm just gonna explain and discuss some important aspects of the game with you guys. So let's talk some gameplay for a change. soon as you get that controller in your hands, you feel the blood pumping through your veins. You sneak behind them, you stab them with the knife. Blood squirts out from their necks. You blow someone's head off with a shotgun. You smash dude's head out with a hammer or baseball bat. You watch them screaming each other names and struggling and dying in pain as you watch them breathing their last breath. But isn't that just a huge paradox from what the game plot is trying to deliver? So, yes and also no. You see, us gamers, we really like to shoot people, and more graphic and violence it gets, we do enjoy it more. But here everything is a bit different. The term cycle of violence really sits in your head as you progress the game. The more violence your acts are, the more violence consequences will be there too. So you're encountered with Joel's death in a very brutal way, and you really did put on Ellie's shoes on that matter. But you don't do anything but enjoy until you get to play as Abby. And when you reach her playtime, as gamers we do be like, gameplay-wise, Ellie and Abby are kinda same, but you get different weapons and different skill trees with each character. Skill trees are good. You don't really use most of them, but when you use, they actually work great. And it's just a bummer that when you get to play as Abby, all your progress in gameplay kinda starts over. And you should upgrade Abby's skill tree as well as upgrade her weapons too. Because of course, they're different from Ellie's. Weapons upgrade really got better from previous game. Aside from upgrading them to use them better, you can now visually see what you have upgraded in the most weapons. Despite you only got to see the scope upgrade for a sniper in the last game. Should also mention that every weapon upgrade has its unique animation too. And when I said some of the skill tree upgrades worked really great, I meant something like Ellie's different stabbing animation with the knife. It's a really good upgrade and it can really improve stealth mechanics in the game progress. I must talk about the gameplay changes too. You know, it's not really game changing to add a jump or crawl button to the game, considering that we're now in 2020. But dodging mechanic really adds a great sense of engagement to the game, and you end up using it a lot through the game. Do I really have to say how fucking gorgeous the visuals and graphics are in this game? I mean, of course you can get endless stable frame rates from PC gaming, considering that human eye only can see 60. But you should really consider that you're seeing this on a base model of a console that is already 6 years old compared to a 4-digit priced PC. If these people at Naughty Dog are famous for one thing, it is that great attention to details. Here you go, you name it. From stunning semi-open world downtown Seattle that for a couple of hours you can get explore with a map and digest the thing that happened with Joel, to facial motion capture so that every moment Ellie picks up that guitar, you can really dig into her emotions and really be with her as that moment is passing. you can see the every bit of power of the physics-based engine of the game. When aliens get wet, if you swing around any melee weapon, you'll see the splashing water from her. Even when you place a mine in the room with a ceiling, the blast will make enemies' flesh to scatter all over the place and slowly falling from the ceiling. This engine really uses its power for those brutal visuals too. But it is also a great motivation for puzzles and exploration. The puzzles are much better compared to the simple dumpster moving in the first game, especially the rope and the way its physics works, despite it has some clunkiness to it. Even the dumpsters are showing off, but with better riddles, but not that confusing so that Ellie's congrats and applauses for herself shows.
That's pretty smart, Ellie.
For example, opening safes are actually requires you to look around and find the passcodes for them, and they really challenge you sometimes. Despite the first game, at some points, I didn't even know where did I find the passcodes for the safes.
Got it.
You'll spend minutes to look at 3D models, and there's no need to say how stunning they look, how detailed, how realistic, and these models and visuals wouldn't be possible without proper and accurate concept arts. It was these concept arts that lead to this great game. And of course, it was the perfect narration and storytelling that gave life to these visuals. I get people to be upset about the way a story turned out to be, but I think people are so much attached to Joel that they couldn't imagine The Last of Us without him. But you can't ignore how greatly a story was established. The plot really builds up that revenge tension, and it really fuels your anger with more violence in Ellie's story time. For example, that moment in the hospital when you chase and trap Nora. The game really wants you to smash that square button and beat the shit out of her. And it all leads to worsen the Ellie's state of mind situation. I don't know why, but I didn't personally attach to any of the new characters of the game except Owen, but they were all well thought out, and I guess there were just too many characters in the game. This story uses Tarantino-like storytelling. The dog you calmly killed during Elle's playthrough actually is a great companion to Abby and her friends. The pregnant woman you killed was Abby's friend, and Owen was Abby's lover, of course. And Ellie wouldn't get how far is she going just the moment it's all too late. When Ellie was something around 15, Joel surprised her with the things that she most like, and this section of the game is truly beautiful and heartwarming. And as well as that, you go further through the game, you get to explore Abby's memories and get a chance to see how people around her was, but she didn't appreciate what she had. And as she gone for more violent ways to calm herself, not only that those didn't work out for her, she lost those existing people in her life too. But only with helping out Lev and Yara They did really transform her heart in a good way, and now she can find peace even in her dreams. You see, Yara and Lev are two Jewish and Arabic names, and together they mean a little transformation of the heart. But Ellie was too blinded by the fact that Joel didn't let her to be the savior of mankind, that she didn't saw him the moment she needed to. And the moment she did, it was all too late. By the moment Abby returns for revenge on Ellie and she kills Jesse, you thought the story would be like, but it's actually like, this boss battle like gameplay section is really great. You'll get to play against Ellie, the character you should know how fights by now. And then Abby beat the shit out of them, but Lev makes them to think that this wasn't the answer all along, so she'll let Dina live.
She had nothing to do with this. She's pregnant. Good. Abby. Don't ever let me see you again. Come on.
It all leads to the end section of the game, where Ellie and Dina are living quite a happy life. And you can say that again by the looks of the farm they live in. Now it again represents Elysium, but this time for Ellie. Despite the happiness they have, Ellie is still haunted by the visions of Joel's death. And it's most likely an unsolved matter for her. So when Tommy, who is kinda a disabled person now, reaches to their farm and informs her of Abby's location, who is in Santa Clara now, because they gone to look for Fireflies, her former group, and they got caught in there because a local group caught them. Ellie yet again decides to go after her. To complete her incomplete revenge, and yet again she's blinded by anger and can't see the great things she has in her life. So she's off to Santa Clara and leaves Dina and JJ behind. As you reach Santa Clara in search for Abby, Ellie gets injured and trapped. And by that moment, I just asked myself, why so much pain? Is it really necessary? And later throughout the game, I just came to a realization that maybe it did make sense after all. She uses her immunity to escape that and learns Abby's new location. As she arrives in Rattler's base, she kills a lot and frees the slaves people too, but just for revenge, not actually for saving them, unlike her will to save humanity. Then she goes for a long and ominous walk through a long and dark hallway, just like Jules did at St. Mary's Hospital before he committed his original sin. This scene of Ellie's walk greatly symbolic of a biblical event known as the agony in the Garden of Gethsemane, which happened to Jesus after the Last Supper. Jesus walked for praying in the mentioned garden. During his walk, he became overcome with sadness, and his sweat became greatly drops of blood. It was here that Jesus accepted his fate of betrayal and then crucified. And everything you see in this section, like Ellie's bleeding and ominous walk throughout the long corridor, is greatly symbolic of mentioned biblical event. It is about acceptance. You also can consider Tommy's blinded eye for the symbolism of eye for an eye. As she reached the beach, she finds Abby in a very harsh way. As Ellie brings her down, you thought to yourself that Ellie finally is over with everything that happened. But as she sees her blood, her PTSD kicks in, and she once again thinks of her incomplete revenge and forces Abby to fight her. Through this fight, Ellie lost 2 of her fingers, and finally, as she is choking Abby underwater, just like a corrupted baptism, she thinks of Jules' calm face. And then she's maybe not forgive anyone, but at least she's over it now, and she leaves Abby and left to go. Now you see how far did you come throughout this story, and it really makes you think that was it all worth it? Some of you may think that, well, actually yes, if Abby was dead after all, but just think about how much Ellie had lost. And finally, after all that, when she returns to farm, you'll notice something different. Not only Dina and JJ left, but unlike any other place in the game, there is nothing intractable in this particular level. But her guitar upstairs. Just like her, there is nothing left for her but empty shells of her past self. As she picks up the guitar, you'll notice she can't even play the guitar properly again. Just empty shells of her past self. And then the final flashback occurs. You see Ellie's coming up on Joel, and as they talk, she says,
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
and then Joel responds to her,
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
Yeah. I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
I'd like that.
I like to leave you here for anything you want to comprehend from this. But as you see Ellie leaves the guitar, you know by now she's finally over what backstory they have with Joe. As she leaves the guitar as a symbolism of that final moment. And now I must reach my final conclusion. The game really did have another protagonist all along, and it is you. So you're left here for whatever choice you want to make. Be always unsatisfied with the story and characters' decisions, much like Ellie was throughout the game. But she finally came to an acceptance, and you too have this decision to be satisfied and learn the lesson developers try to deliver, or always be angry and judgmental about everything that happened. Hey again guys, I just wanted to say a quick thanks for watching the video, and I really wanted to point out some other features of the game, like the song Unbroken and the guitar itself, and why Joel forces Ellie to change the strings of the guitar. Of course, you might know that it is a direct representation of their trying to fix their relationship. And some other things like bugs. Oh my god, the bugs of this game. And I'm sorry that the video looked amateur. I didn't have the proper microphone, and I know that the audio looks kinda yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But thanks again for watching the video, I really do appreciate it. And what else is there? Just, I guess, thanks for watching it, and have a great day. Bye.